Welcome to the Tyler Werner Show, discussing all the latest in Philadelphia sports. It's no surprise to me that the Eagles went to Seattle and were neutralized by this Seahawks team. Most of us kind of saw it coming. However, the problem is we have another week where everyone else in the NFC East won. The Redskins and the Giants are both leading the wild card race over the Eagles now by over a game or more. Unless the Eagles can muster up a 5-1 record to finish the season here, they will probably miss the playoffs. Wouldn't be the end of the world, but still, this team just making the playoffs, even with its flaws, would be a great step forward as a franchise in Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz's first season.
And now, here's Tyler Werner.
Welcome to the Tyler Werner Show, everybody. And yes, it is an Eagles loss to the Seahawks this past week on Sunday evening, late afternoon, whatever you want to call it, as the Eagles go up to Seattle and, unsurprisingly to me, lose the game 26-15. For the most part, getting neutralized on offense pretty much for the course of the entire game for the most part. Although they showed the ability to move the football early in the game and got up early, actually 7-6. Unfortunately, the Seahawks were able to answer right back after that with a long drive of their own. And, they pretty much had their way with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's safe to say that. Again, I'm not surprised. It's a tough game, tough situation for the Eagles to go up to Seattle, of all places, and win that game. And not to mention, again, as we continue to say, this Eagles team, on the road, they just have not been good this year. They're undefeated at home, which is encouraging as they have a must-win game against the Green Bay Packers. And you could almost make a case that almost every game from here on out is a must-win game. We'll get to that later. As I've mentioned, it's unfortunate that every other team in the division won this week. And now, the Cowboys, for crying out loud, 9-1 now, a 9th straight win. For all intents and purposes, they're going to win this division and likely have home field advantage this season, and that's out of the question, of course. But the wild card teams right now are the Giants and the Redskins in the NFC, both to which the Eagles lost to the first time around and have to beat. They can't afford to lose to them, let alone really lose more than one game remaining on the schedule in general. All right? The Giants, they had the Bears this week, so obviously that's a game that they should have won and did win. This week, the Packers, I'm thinking they were in a desperate situation, they needed a win, and the Redskins took it to them and beat the Packers and handed them their 4th straight loss. And that was one of those games where it's like, well, maybe the Redskins lose this one here, but unfortunately for the Eagles, the Redskins won this week. So they're basically a game and a half ahead of the Eagles. You could maybe you could round it off as 2 because they beat the Eagles the first time. So the Eagles sit at 5-5 at the bottom of the NFC East right now. And some people say, oh, well, who cares if they make playoffs or not this year? And it's, to me, that's not the point. This Eagles team, if they make the playoffs, just in general, it's a great step forward in my eyes. And I don't know how anyone can, disagree with that. It's not the end of the world, as I've said, if they miss the playoffs. But this team some of the corporate. I mean, it gives you confidence. It builds confidence. It just kind of gives a boost of morale to the team, to the franchise. If you take that step, when you know you have weaknesses that need to be fixed, when you know you are lacking at wide receiver, and quite frankly may have one of the worst wide receiving cores in the league, a top 3 worst wide receiving core in the league, perhaps.
I agree.
You have some deficiency at cornerback. Offensive line, there's some, I don't know, some shaky play here. There's some question marks on offensive line. That, running back, Darren Sproles, maybe not, I don't know. They got the rotation thing going, but I still don't entirely know what to make of it. Sometimes it's up and down. But there's no Ezekiel Elliott on the team. Let's look at it that way. All right, so there are some areas lacking on this team. Talent-wise, it's not all there. We've learned that the Cowboys are just a great team. I mean, look at all their weapons on offense. Their slot receivers better than any, between Terrence Williams, obviously Des Bryant, Cole Beasley, even Jason Witten is, and then the running game, obviously, with Ezekiel Elliott. And it's just, we've learned that they're just a great team. And it still blows my mind that they're 9-1 and have won 9 straight games. But that's the reality. But to me, they had every chance to beat the Giants a couple of weeks ago. They came out flat against the Redskins the first time around in Washington, but at home, revenge situation against the Redskins and against the Giants, they should win those games. So this is this hiccup against the Seahawks, like I expected. Look, I said it's not gonna be the end of the season if they lose against the Seahawks. So this doesn't take the train off the tracks by any means. But considering the fact that the Redskins won this week, the Redskins may have upped the ante. And while there was perhaps the chance that a 9-7 record could pass, the way I see it now, at worst, the Redskins finished 9-6-1. At worst. They just won a game that I thought they might lose. So, that means the Eagles probably have to finish 10-6. So, to get a wild card spot. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. As we go through the Tyler, last week we were kind of playoff scenarios and remaining schedules for these teams. We'll kind of go through that exercise again later on the Tyler Werner Show. But of course, we have some other fish to fry in discussing this loss. Obviously, one of the main issues, again, is the Nelson Agholor situation. And I'll tell you what, it's a damn shame what happened in this game with Nelson Agholor. And we got audio of Doug Peterson's thoughts earlier today about how he's dealing with Nelson Agholor, it's just like the guy is just like mentally shot. All right? And it's a shame. Again, I continue to say that the guy's a bust. All right? There's no other way around it. And he was a Chip Kelly selection. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised at his bust, because look how Chip Kelly and his wide receiving core over in San Francisco are doing.
Was that like a wise-ass comment?
So, that drop was, again, just drop after drop this season. And you know, it's a shame because he started off the season in Cleveland with a great, big touchdown bomb reception. However I want to word it. But for the most part since then, he's been abysmal. And again, another game. He played 70 snaps. Zero catch. Obviously not counting his 2-point conversion catch where he actually held on to the ball. Besides that, nothing on the stat sheet. Goose egg. Again. And it's not the first time this week. And he's supposed to be the number 1 receiver on the team. Are you kidding me? Chosen 20th overall in 2015? Look, I know there's the whole thing where he's trying to apologize and everything, and that's great. That's great, but at the end of the day, that doesn't change the fact that 2015 first round pick that's supposed to be a hit resulted in nothing, apparently. I mean, it's unbelievable. Now, let's see if I have the transcript. Well, the point is, he tried to I guess he was trying to apologize, and he's really upset. And Paul Turner was activated by Doug Peterson today. He was moved from the practice squad to the 53-man roster, and cornerback Aaron Grimes was released. Basically, with the Nelson Agholor meltdown, where he just had that awful drop, and then, of course, that called back 57-yard would-be touchdown reception for Zach Ertz. Because Nelson Agholor was not on the line of the scrimmage, couldn't move up just a couple. Doug Peterson was there, the ref was there telling him, move up. Come on. Move up. And then the play goes off. And it's called back because Nelson Agholor was not up at the line of scrimmage.
Come on, that's terrible!
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, Doug Peterson actually he didn't react that hard to it, but he's trying to get Nelson, but he didn't. So basically, here's the scoop today as far as where things sit right now with basically what Nelson Agholor had to say, and basically where the situation is kind of heading right now. I just have to get out of my own head, Nelson Agholor acknowledged, after the line of scrimmage issue got Zach Ertz' 57-yard touchdown reception called back. Then Nelson Agholor dropped that pass before ultimately finishing the game without a reception despite playing 70 snaps, as I just mentioned earlier. Peterson said that remarks, they definitely concerned him, and that he wants to sit down with the Eagles' 2015 number 1 pick later this week. I will definitely have a conversation with Nelson. Those are definitely concerns that I have, now that he's come out and said that publicly. My concern is for him as an individual, as a person. I want to make sure that he's in a good spot, football aside. And Peterson did say Agholor will sit next Monday against the Packers. But the fact that Paul Turner was activated, it seems to be strong indication that very well may be the possibility that Nelson Agholor does in fact sit. And I mean, I guess that. I mean, hey, it was, what was it, last week or Dorial Green Beckham? I mean, he kind of sat the whole game, so I mean, he did. But so, I don't even know if he said, he just didn't get targeted at all. So I don't know, but Doug Peterson, he said he can't recall having dealt with anything quite like this. Sometimes you have to take a step backward in order to go forward. We've heard that before, obviously. So after they talk, Peterson said he will decide Agholor's fate. Or his status. What do I say fate for? Make it sound all dramatic there or whatever. But anyhow, here earlier today in the press conference addressing the situation, there's a little audio of Doug Peterson, what he had to say going forward here in addressing the situation with Nelson Agholor's, I guess, mental meltdown, if you want to call it that.
I think sometimes as athletes you put so much pressure on yourself to perform, and then when it maybe doesn't quite work out in your favor, and then outside influences, i.e. the media, fans, put more pressure on you to perform, and you're a top pick and you need to perform. All that pressure on a player, is not good. And so in Nelson's case, sometimes it's like I mentioned, sometimes maybe you have to take a step back and maybe you have to see it differently, view it differently. And these are all conversations that he and I will have this week. And again, it's the well-being of the player and the person for me than it is him as an athlete.
All right, the whole pressure thing. The fan that he was drafted, he's the media and social media pressure and everything. And that pressure comes when you just you drop balls that you got to catch in this league. And just the frequency of drops he has this season. You can't explain it. You can't, who else? They're, in that draft. Drafted not too far ahead of him. And look at how they're contributing on other teams. All right? So that's just, you just can't, the whole thing of pressure, maybe that gets, so good. But is he going to take a step back? And then is he gonna come back and what, is he suddenly gonna be Amari Cooper or whoever else out of that draft? Is he gonna be anything close to that? No, come on. This guy. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, when it's contract time for. I mean, no. No.
Get out! Get out!
I mean, they're not going to cut him right now because he's on a rookie contract. And quite frankly, I mean, I know he's obviously not a number one, but I mean, I guess that doesn't mean he can't be a number 4 or 5, I guess, but some would even question right now if he can even be that. But, and you could argue on other teams he's not even a 4 or a 5. So I don't know. I just look. I know maybe the guy needs to get. I mean, if there's anything in his personal look, I got that. Like maybe for his benefit, he needs to take a step back. But you can't sugarcoat it either. And that he's going to come back or something and suddenly be what he was expected to be when he as the 20th pick overall in the 2015 draft. I mean, all the other teams that got receivers out of that draft and are flourishing. And it's like we get the one that is just an incredible bust, it seems, of epic proportions, and can't take the heat. I guess that's the bottom line. So, he may not be playing in the Packers game. He may be sitting on the bench. But other players that the Eagles, we got a bit of an injury update here. A bit of a laundry list to update you here with. As far as guys on the Seahawks did too, but got hurt. But this Seahawks team, they hit hard. And it showed. I mean, they just hit hard. They're brutal. I mean, you just watch that game. I mean, Cam Chancellor and they're known for the last several seasons an intense defense, and tackling is never really an issue with them. So meanwhile, rookie right tackle Big V Highlight Pulavate Vaitai. I don't know if I said that right. He's week to week with a grade 2 MCL sprain. Now, a source close to the situation indicated Vaitai may miss 4 weeks. And that's about the same amount of time that remains in Lane Johnson's suspension. So, I don't know. It's safe to Vaitai's kind of been holding his own in recent weeks. So that's kind of encouraging to see, but unfortunately he's week to week right now. That said, Alan Barber will probably start at right tackle against the Packers, with Stefan Wisniewski probably taking Barber's place at left guard, with Isaac Samalo working in, Doug Peterson said. Now, while Vaitai's injury seems to be the most serious suffered by the Eagles on Sunday, Ryan Matthews, he has a milder day-to-day MCL sprain. So it sounds like he might be all right. Running back Darren Sproles, he has a non-displaced rib fracture that shouldn't keep him from playing against the Packers. And then the defensive end Connor Barwin, he has a bone bruise that should allow him to play. But cornerback Leotis McKelvin, he is in the concussion protocol. So, for now, that is basically where we stand with injuries right now. Again, several of them yesterday in a hard-hitting game with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Seattle Seahawks. Again, that team, they just hit hard. They do. And fortunately for them, they have Thomas Rawls back, who was running like a beast yesterday. I mean, that's the thing. I remember last year picking him up on fantasy until he got hurt for the season. And yesterday he was cooking. And the Seahawks, they've had to rely more on their passing game this year. And again, Russell Wilson kind of getting his legs back a little bit more as he's been getting healthier in recent weeks. And it just showed, too, on defense. I mean, you saw vintage Russell Wilson there yesterday. Not like he was running for yards and yards, but getting out of the pocket. And this is one of those plays that just, it made me as mad on this one defensive play as Agholor's drop dead, where Russell Wilson, he gets out of the pocket and he connects with Jimmy Graham downfield. All right. Not only is it Jalen Watkins, I know he's a rookie, but still, just kind of totally not play the ball well at all. Like, he's right there. He doesn't even play the ball well. It's like he makes no effort whatsoever. No urgency on the tackle. He's on Jimmy Graham. It looked so embarrassingly bad. After that play, I'm just like, at that point, just bench Jalen Watkins for the rest of the, that's embarrassing. That play, oh my God. I mean, if you don't know, I believe Jimmy Graham, and then Jimmy Graham took it in the end zone for the touchdown. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. That was some of the worst cornerback play there I've seen all season long. But nevertheless, again, it's just another example of Russell Wilson just getting out of the pocket, making plays. Now, Carson Wentz, I haven't really talked anything about him so far. Pretty, pedestrian day, really. While he doesn't have Russell Wilson's speed, did see some flashes of good pocket mobility and spinning out of trouble, which was encouraging to see. But like I'm saying with Russell Wilson, it's one of those, every time you play him, he can be a headache to play against, as mobile as he can be. And of course, this really rankled myself amongst many other Philadelphia Eagle fans. When the one play where Doug Baldwin, it was kind of the toss to him, and the Eagles defense assumed, well, he's gonna run the ball here, and Russell Wilson finds himself catching a touchdown pass from Doug Baldwin. A nice haul in by Russell Wilson. And of course, this is before, I swear this went through my head. And I'm not on Twitter really or anything. And I didn't really look on Facebook until a little down the line or hear anything about that. But after that play, I text my buddy and who's a bandwagon Seahawks fan who lives only a few miles from me, and for whatever reason randomly became a Seahawks fan once upon a time, for whatever reason. But nevertheless, I text him and I say, yeah, like Russell Wilson could even be a better wide receiver than Nelson Agholor. And sure enough, after that play, social media blew up with all that. So I stand corrected, apparently. And I wasn't the only one thinking that. We were all thinking that. So, again, it's,
Come on, that's terrible!
It is terrible. And you know what? Terrible enough that I'm going to take a break here on the Tyler Werner Show. After just a, rough outing in Seattle, but then again, I guess, what do you expect when you're playing the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle and you don't have the offensive firepower to really compete with them? You don't have wide receivers that are going to be able to hold a candle to Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas and Deshaun Shedd and go on and on here. But instead of doing that, we're going to hit the first break, like I said, right here on the Tyler Werner Show. So with that in mind, we'll be right back after this.
Number one box office attraction, number one WWE superstar, multi-time WWE champion, Brock Lesnar.
Time to revamp your office space, eh? Looking for an interior decorator? Look no further than Brock Lesnar.
Now that's the way a real man uses a sledgehammer.
Out with the old, in with the new. Give Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman a call.
Mr. Lesnar, you're the future of interior decorator. I think we're done.
Hi there, I'm Hank Hill. Well, I'd like to tell you what Strickland can do to meet your energy needs. You see, at Strickland, the customer comes first. It's kind of interesting. The word customer begins with C-U. Well, we don't see you as just another sale, but as a member of our team. I thought you might enjoy 7.5 gallons of pure premium propane. Strickland Propane, the customer comes first.
Investigators are calling it the heist of the century. The grand robbery of Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs, committed by some apparently hungry NFL officials who love their balls.
When I came in Monday morning, I was shocked to learn of the news reports about the balls and the process that happened between when they were prepared and went to the officials and went to the game.
As shocked as Belichick was of the news, perhaps Brady, the last man out of the kitchen on that Sunday night, was even more shocked to hear of the news of the theft.
I have a process that I go through. It's the same process that I always go through. When I felt them, they were perfect. I mean, I wouldn't want anyone touching those. I would zip those things up and lock them away, and that's what I thought I was doing.
As Brady and Belichick upped the ante on their ball security, you'll just have to pick up a pack of their meatballs the next time you hit the grocery store and enjoy just how perfect these balls really are.
Tom's personal preferences on his ball security are something that he can talk about in much better detail than I could possibly provide.
We're back on the Tyler Werner Show, dedicating this song, specifically the chorus, to none other than Nelson Agholor of the Eagles. After just a game with just a mind-boggling drop, another mind-boggling drop, and of course, the whole Zach Ertz touchdown play that was called back because Nelson Agholor wasn't lined up at the line of scrimmage. He was back too far. And meanwhile, Doug Peterson is right there at the sideline trying to get him to call, to move up just a hair and,
Come on, that's terrible!
Oh, man. But, on a lighter note, if you want to call it a lighter note, how about them Sixers winning 3 of their last 4, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, that's right. After beating the Heat, ladies and gentlemen, basically their second win in a row. And before that, it was beating the Phoenix Suns. Lost to the Timberwolves, but last Wednesday, of course, that went over. So 3 of their last 4. How about that? Maybe the, at least for the time, for now, at least maybe the whole tank thing. I mean, I don't. It's not that It's not that they're intentionally tanking. Ben Simmons, of course, isn't playing until another couple of months, perhaps, and it's basically the Joel Embiid show out there right now. So, it is what it is. But, Sixers at least starting to put some wins on the board here and there. How about that? And the Flyers, they just continue to be, like, the definition of on and off. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. I mean, here we are another week. After last two, well, not this past it, but the Tuesday before, after a shootout loss to the Senators, just to kind of update. Thursday night, they beat the Jets 5-2, Winnipeg. And then Saturday, they get shut out by the Lightning 3-0. And then, tonight, on this Tuesday night, they're bouncing back and beating, they're handling the Florida Panthers up 3-0. So, it's late in the third. So, it's, it continues to be on and off with the Flyers. But as I was saying earlier, a team that can't be on and off in order to make the playoffs the rest of the season is none other than the Philadelphia Eagles. And, we went through the schedule last week. And with the Eagles, we went through the Redskins. Because these are the teams that the Eagles have to surpass. And it starts with Monday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers, who are reeling, who are bad defensively, and they can't run the football. So it's really up to Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams. I mean, really, at the end of the day, that's pretty much, what's up with the Packers right now. And we saw how they struggled against the Redskins. Here we are with Philadelphia, in Philadelphia, a chance to bounce back. Now, bit concerned, the Eagles do have some injuries, all right? You play Seattle, and it's evident they got banged around, as we mentioned in the last segment with the injury update. It looks like, Wendell Smallwood will be the number one back here heading into this game. So Ryan Matthews is hurt again. Sproles with the rib situation, he may not be playing either. I don't know. So you're really looking at Smallwood and I guess Kenyon Barner as the number 2 back. So whether or not that hurts them drastically, I'm not sure about that. I mean, maybe, Smallwood has shown flashes of brilliance at times in this season. You take away that critical fumble a few weeks ago, he's done pretty well. And I don't know exactly what they're going to... I mean, Zach Ertz in recent weeks has come alive a little more. Jordan Matthews maybe can have more of a bounce-back game. The Eagles, they can have their way against this Packers defense. There's no question about it. And certainly this defense, they have been playing very well at home. They're not the same on the road. But at home, they've been pretty good this year. They've been very good this year. And hopefully that trend continues. Because Connor Barwin's a little banged up now. Fletcher Cox has been a little quiet since getting paid. You know, not the kind of oomph you want out of a guy that you gave a big payday to. So that's we'll go through the schedules for the Eagles and for these other teams momentarily. But before we do that, we have to go around the NFL as we always do and share my top 5 thoughts of the week. So without further ado, we will discuss, as a lot of interesting games happened this past week in the NFL. Interesting results that certainly caught my attention and probably caught many others' attention out there who were tuning in to the games around the league. So, without further ado, we start with number 5, the Miami Dolphins, winning their 5th straight game. I know it was only against the Rams, 14-10. But the Dolphins, who were 1-4, have now moved to 6-4. And they have found themselves in the wild card picture. Without question, they have a shot right now. The way they're playing, they continue to, the schedule may get tougher here, but the way they've been playing, ladies and gentlemen, 5th straight win for the Miami Dolphins. Number 4, the Minnesota Vikings. They stopped the bleeding, so to speak, after they beat the Arizona Cardinals 30-24. The Cardinals, one of those teams that is basically vying for a wild card spot. And that was a big win by the Vikings, as they had lost 4 straight. They're now 6-4. They're tied with Detroit, who they have a big game against this week that very well may decide the division. Both teams at 6-4. Big win for the Vikings. Thought number 2, the Washington Redskins. I'm sorry, not number 2, number 3. My bad. The Washington Redskins handing the Green Bay Packers their 4th straight loss. Kind of just talking about that. Beating them 42-24 and moving to 6-3-1. Hey, I was saying this is a game where the Packers, they're desperate, and maybe they pull off the win against the Redskins. Maybe I don't know. The Redskins get the job done. They're 6-3-1. And right now in the playoff race, they hold that 6th seed after that win. Big win for the Redskins, no question. Thought number 2. It's the Oakland Raiders, ladies and gentlemen. Beating the Houston Texans, who are leading their division. And meanwhile, this Raiders team has moved to 8-2. That's right. 8-2, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, man.
Oh, whoops, I just cut off the music with that soundbite. Hold on. Dang, that's what running through one program here. And now the computer's lagging. I can't... I gotta have the music going here. We have a computer issue now, meanwhile. As we try to get the music coming back up. Here we go. Alright, there we go. Started from the beginning. Well-oiled machine here on the Tyler Werner Show, aren't we? Anyhow, as I was saying, the Raiders are 8-2. And are right now, by the looks of it, after the Chiefs lost this week, they're tied right now with the New England Patriots in the AFC. Can you believe that? For home field advantage. This Raiders team is red hot right now, and what can you say? Against a tough Houston defense, they beat them 27-20. And then finally, thought number one around the league. The Dallas Cowboys defeat the Baltimore Ravens 27-17 for their 9th straight win. Need I say much more? Other than the Ravens, they've been playing some pretty good football lately. I don't know, they're up and down. There's a chance for the Ravens to be the team that ends this massive winning streak by the Cowboys, but no. Cowboys with their 9th straight win, 27-17. How about that? And here the Cowboys sit at 9-1, atop the NFC, as they continue to inch closer to perhaps home field advantage in the NFC playoffs. So that's really what we got. That's what we got there. Now, what are the Eagles? Again, going back. A Packers team that this Eagles team at home should be beating this coming Monday night on Monday Night Football. All right? Well, let's, hopefully the Packers in a desperate situation hopefully did not pull off the upset here against the Eagles, obviously, but I got to think that they're just right now they're falling apart, and at Philadelphia they're not going to win. If it was in Green Bay, maybe, but I guess I continue to ride this Eagles home field advantage thing they got going here.
I agree.
So we look at that, and then rematch against the Washington Redskins. By the way, the Redskins have a 3-game road trip beginning with the Arizona Cardinals. So this is tough territory here for the Redskins. And again, like almost all of these games from here on out are must-wins. I got to think the Eagles beat the Redskins at home this time. Revenge situation. And then the Eagles, they go to Baltimore the week after. That's a tough game. Because again, this is another team playing. I mean, the Ravens at home, the Eagles on the road. It seems as if it's a team at their level or better. The Eagles will not win on the road. So this might be a loss here very well for the Eagles. One that they can afford so long as they beat the Giants the next week in a revenge situation. And so long as they take care of the Cowboys on New Year's Day, who may not be playing their starters at that point. We won't know, I guess, until we get there. But could the Cowboys have home field advantage locked up by that point? Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see when we get there. But basically what we're looking at is an Eagles can't finish worse than 10-6 in my eyes. And that's because of, again, the Redskins. Let's go to their schedule. All right? Like I said, they have their 3-game road trip coming up right now. Now, of course, they play the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. I guess I totally forgot that they play the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, and then they play the Arizona Cardinals, in case I just had to, correct that error there. In case anybody, kind of remembers that little goof up earlier, I guess, but,
It's like you got a problem with concentration.
Yeah. Maybe like Nelson Agholor sometimes when he tries to catch the football. I'm sorry. I that's my last Nelson Agholor joke for the show. Anyhow, the Redskins. All right, they go to Dallas. Again, is this a game where finally the Cowboys cough up the game? I don't know. But I'm tempted to just think that the Cowboys continue their winning ways here and the Redskins lose. I don't know if it's being hopeful, too hopeful or not, or what, but I guess that's what we're looking at here. However, was it week 1? Hold on. Let me go back here. If I'm not mistaken, oh no, never mind. That was week 2. Cowboys for okay. Or no, I'm. What am I thinking? I'm on the Redskins schedule. I'm thinking it's the Cowboys schedule. Again, I don't know. It's a busy week. What can I say?
It's like you got a problem with concentration.
It's like Thanksgiving's on my mind, and it's a pretty big whirlwind week here, I guess, right now, and because I do got a little problem with concentration right now. But anyways, so. In case you're still with me, the Redskins take on the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. We went through that. Then they got to travel down to Arizona. Sunday, December 4th, and then they come to Philadelphia. The last game of that 3-game road trip. So I gotta think they're gonna lose 2 out of 3. One of those being to the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe they go to Arizona and win. But probably a loss to the Eagles. Like I said, probably a loss to the Cowboys. And then they got the Panthers at home. Winnable game. Then they go to Chicago against the Bears. Winnable game. And then the Giants, perhaps trying to lock up a better playoff spot. If not a playoff spot, last game of the season, at the Redskins. It's a tough game. Both teams might be, Giants might win that game. Or if not, Redskins may very well finish 10-5-1. And as far as I'm concerned, that wouldn't be good enough for the Eagles. But I can very well see a 9-6-1 finish for this Redskins team. Now let me just let's just go to the Giants once again and see what they got going on here, because they have the advantage right now. They're 7-3, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, their schedule gets a little tougher down the road here. Let's take a look. All right, at the Browns. All right, well, it doesn't get tougher with that game, obviously, but at the Browns, they win. They're 8-3. Then the next week, the Steelers, who are in a desperate situation. All right. Probably Steelers win, I would think. And the Giants' winning streak that they have going on comes to a close there. 8-4. Cowboys at the Giants. Flip a coin. The next week, Lions at the Giants. All right. Let's say they lose one of those games. Which puts basically 9-5. Lions playing pretty good football, and they got something to play. They got the division to play for this week, and they've been putting together some pretty good football. What else can you say? Ever since the Eagles lost to them. So, all right, Giants lose one of those games. We'll say that. 9-5. Give them the benefit of the doubt. And then they host... The Eagles host the Giants. Again, Eagles win, revenge situation. That puts them at 9-6. Now, this Redskins game on New Year's Day to end the season, as I was just going through the Redskins, again, this basically, all right, I have the Giants 9-6 here, and I guess I have the Redskins either 8-5-1 or, I'm sorry, that'd be 8-6-1 or 9-5-1. If the Giants lose, the Giants would fall to 9-7, and more likely than not, if the Eagles take care of business, they finish 10-6, they're a wild card team. And if the Redskins are 10-5-1, Eagles are a 6th seed. If the Redskins get knocked out and they finish 9-6-1, and the Eagles are 10-6 and the Giants are 10-6, then it just, I guess it comes down to wins against common opponents and yada yada. So, but the point is, they get a wild card spot. They finish 5-1, they got it. I'm pretty comfortable saying they go 5-1 to finish the season. They get a wild card spot. They finish 9-7, it's shaky. And it doesn't look so good. Especially if one of those losses to the Redskins again, or to the Giants again. Because they very well may need a tiebreaker against one of those teams. Now again, there are other teams in the mix. Let's look at them. The Lions, the Vikings. Like the Vikings, I feel like they're kind of falling apart. But for the sake of, things, let's go through here. Cardinals, they're 4-5-1 now. They're desperate. They're gonna fight, but ultimately, they have too many losses on the board right now, and they're not good enough to finish strong enough, in my eyes, to be a wild card team. So again, other than that, it's really down to the Lions and the Vikings, who wins that division, and then are one of them good enough? I'm thinking right now the Lions have the advantage in that. Let's go down the Vikings schedule. See if they might have enough in the tank with what's left on the schedule to perhaps be a wild card team. I don't know if they do. Alright, so they go to Detroit this week. Revenge situation for the Vikings. Let's just say, for the sake, all right. Then the next week they host the Cowboys. Let's just say they split between those two games, 7-5. They go to Jacksonville, 8-5. Colts go to the Vikings. I think the Colts are a better team. They're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. I'm going to say the Colts win that. And that makes them 8-6, I believe. And then the revenge situation for the Packers, they may be desperate at that point. Division game, Packers win as they host the Vikings. And the week after that, the Bears again. So, I think at best Minnesota finishes 9-7. I don't think they're a wild card team. And even if they finish 9-7 and the Eagles finish 9-7, I mean, the Eagles have a tiebreaker over them. So I'm thinking, let's look at the Lions' schedule. But I'm thinking that's pretty much it for the Vikings. 9-7 at best. Let's look at the Lions and what they have left. 6-4 right now. Vikings going in there And the next week they go to the Saints. Let's say they split between those two. 7-5. After that they host the Bears. 8-5. After that they go to the Giants. And after that they go to the Cowboys. 9-6. I say they split between those two games. And as I was going through the Giants' schedule, I believe I had the Lions as one of those teams back to back with the Cowboys, that one of those two teams would beat the Giants. Lions, Cowboys. So I already called it split between those two. I mean, there's a chance the Cowboys could have home field advantage locked up there. I don't know. Maybe not that soon, but so, you know, that varies. That would put them at 9-6. And then the Packers at the Lions. I say the Lions lock up the division with that 10-6. I think they're they might be a 10-6 team by the looks of it. I think they win that division. Vikings miss the playoffs. 9-7 won't be enough. So there you have it. Will the Eagles take care of business? I think that's kind of the theme right now. We'll find out. We got Monday Night Football against the Packers. So we will find out. But until then, we got Thanksgiving. See what the Redskins and the Cowboys do this week. This Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving Thursday. The 4 o'clock game, Eastern time, that is. Should be interesting. We'll see how things go. And we'll talk about it right here in the Tyler Werner Show next week. Of course, after that Monday Night Football Eagles game. That better be a win. Or else, to me, it's playoff hopes are kind of down the drain if the Eagles lose that game. So with that in mind, thanks for tuning in, everyone, and have a happy Thanksgiving, as always. And we'll talk to you next time on the Tyler Werner Show.